Bill Burr, known for his sharp wit and often outspoken opinions, found himself in an unexpected and hilarious situation when Howie Mandel decided to surprise him with some shocking news. On a recent episode of the Bill Burr podcast, Howie, who was a guest, dropped a bombshell that caught Burr completely off guard. He suggested that Burr might have a possible half-brother in none other than Billy Corgan, the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. Needless to say, Burr's reaction was priceless. The moment came during a light-hearted conversation where Mandel, with his usual playful demeanor, casually mentioned that Burr's father might have a secret past, one that involved a potential connection to Corgan. Mandel teased Burr by dropping the idea that the rock star could be his half-brother. As you might imagine, Bill Burr was less than thrilled with the surprise revelation. From the moment Mandel made the suggestion, Burr's expression shifted from confusion to genuine disbelief. His signature comedic style kicked in as he immediately slammed the idea, hilariously rejecting the notion that he could be related to a famous rock star. Burr's reaction was a mixture of surprise, confusion, and, of course, humor. He quickly responded with sarcasm, making it clear that he wasn't buying into the idea that Billy Corgan was his half-brother, no matter how convincing Mandel's suggestion seemed. Burr went on to mock the scenario, riffing on the absurdity of the idea. He poked fun at Howie Mandel's habit of throwing out wild ideas and comments on the fly, which, as fans of the Bill Burr podcast know, often leads to hilarious and unpredictable moments. Burr's delivery was classic. He wasn't going to let Mandel off the hook without calling him out. In his signature style, he questioned why Mandel would bring up something so ridiculous, adding his own spin on the half-brother situation with comical exaggeration. One of the funniest parts of the exchange was Burr's insistence on how utterly impossible it would be for Billy Corgan to be his half-brother. He began to imagine the family dynamics that could have led to such a bizarre scenario. Burr's sarcasm was on full display as he painted a ridiculous picture of a rock star having a secret sibling he never knew about, only to find out years later that it's Bill Burr, a comedian with no musical talent whatsoever. Burr's take on the situation was hilarious because it played into his well-known persona as a guy who's not afraid to challenge anything that seems outlandish. The idea of being related to someone as famous as Billy Corgan was so far-fetched to him that he couldn't help but make fun of it. In classic Burr fashion, he used the absurdity of the situation as a launchpad for one of his signature rants, mocking both Mandel's timing and the implausibility of the whole thing. Throughout the conversation, Mandel kept egging Burr on, but Burr wasn't having it. He kept coming up with more humorous reasons why he couldn't possibly be related to Corgan, from making jokes about the music industry to imagining how awkward family gatherings might be if they were actually brothers. Burr's sharp comedic timing and quick wit shone through as he turned what could have been an awkward situation into pure comedy gold. It's clear that Bill Burr wasn't having any of it, but that didn't stop Mandel from continuing to have fun with the idea. As the conversation progressed, Burr leaned into his frustration with the surprise, making jokes about how, the next time Howie Mandel surprises him with something, it better be something he actually wants to hear. His frustration added to the comedic tension of the moment, creating a perfect storm of humor that made the exchange even more entertaining. In the end, Burr's reaction to the possibility of Billy Corgan being his half-brother was the perfect blend of his irreverent style and off-the-cuff humor. His ability to turn a seemingly ridiculous scenario into comedy gold is part of what makes his podcast so popular. Fans who tuned in to hear Burr's take on the situation were treated to a classic moment of comedic brilliance, one that only Bill Burr could pull off. The exchange between Burr and Mandel also highlighted the chemistry between the two, with Mandel's playful suggestions and Burr's deadpan responses, creating an entertaining dynamic. While Burr was clearly not convinced that Billy Corgan could be his half-brother, the conversation ended up being a hilarious and memorable moment in the Bill Burr podcast canon. At the end of the day, it was just another example of how Bill Burr's quick wit and unfiltered humor make even the most bizarre surprises feel like a perfectly timed joke. Fans of the podcast will surely be talking about this moment for a long time, especially the way Burr slammed Mandel for his unexpected and highly unlikely suggestion. As always, Burr's humor shines brightest when he's faced with the absurd.